This is Cameron on a very special broadcast today. This is because of all the recent rocket launches that have been launched by the SRTG have been for public use. As such, this is not a pre-recorded broadcast. And as you see behind me, these communication dishes have been set up to contact the nation all at once, from any location, as long as there are satellites overhead. So as I am talking to you at 0600 hours or 00 hours, either or, those of you who are in the 0500 hour time zone are watching this at the same time that the rest of the nation is. Now, this may have larger consequences for the nation, however, technology progressing always requires some sacrifice.
Fred, come here. We need to talk. Oh, what? So, what did you want? You know that launch that Astreus did? Look at what they put into orbit. Some sort of crude craft with a storage compartment in the lower stage. So, why the hell are you telling me this? We need you to make sure this isn't brought up on the news, and if it does, it's your head. We needed a better camera to look at it, so next launch is a satellite. You understand me? Alright, anything else I shouldn't know but need to know? You'd know by now. Go back to your TV show.
The craft Astreus launch had been orbiting for an unnerving amount of time since it was presumably crewed, staying in orbit for just over a day and a half. Finally, after being in orbit for 2 days, the astronaut got into the upper stage of the unknown craft and left the lower stage in orbit. Realizing the craft could still be studied, Chinatir created a peeper satellite with an improved camera. Not wasting any time, they launched the spy satellite as quickly as possible to scout the mysterious craft. Due to the swiftness of the liftoff, the launch profile of the side boosters were discarded right above the SRTG itself and crashed around the launch site. Once getting into orbit, the craft maneuvered into a viable position to view the Astrean craft. Getting the best view they could with the fuel they had, Chinatir aimed the camera and zoomed in to inspect the ship. After getting very good photos of the ship, the engineers created a full-scale mock-up of the ship to try and brute force the possible options of what the craft could have been used for. After realizing that the only true way to figure out what the craft was actually used for was to physically inspect it. Shinatier created a cheap ship to try and physically inspect the Australian craft in order to do research on it. The craft would be built as minimalist as possible in order to get to the unknown ship as soon as possible. This hasty construction would lead to some unfortunate design choices. The launch instantly went wrong as it turned towards the VAB. Jebediah had to do a mad dash to escape the fiery explosion. Thankfully, the rocket exploded in the middle of the crawlerway and could be quickly fixed, but if no fixes were made to the program, a lot more than concrete and dirt would have to be repaired. Fixing the boosters and adding an abort system, they hastily made another rocket for Jeb to ride up to the mystery ship. After getting into orbit, Shinatier realized two things. The first being that the unknown ship was on a completely different orbit compared to other crafts, as well as the orbit itself being highly inclined, so getting to it would be arguably harder than getting to the Mun. After realizing the only thing he could do was return, Jeb made a hasty retrograde burn to land. The rocket that would carry him up would need to be the most advanced rocket the program had built yet, both Delta V to counteract Kerbal spin, as well as enough to get into that high of an inclined orbit. Sparing no time, the engineers upgraded the Hopper E to finally achieve this long-awaited goal.